Welcome to Hot Takes, and this is your host Shahir Khan, along with David, our co-host. And today we have two very special guests, Ishan and Arav. Do you want to introduce yourselves?
So my name is Ishan and I am 14 years old.
Alright.
I'm Arav, I'm 16 and I'm here on Hot Takes to learn what we're going to do today.
Alright, so today we have quite an interesting topic.
Should controversial too
as well. Should children start paying rent to their parents once the child turns 18? And if so, why? Should we get started?
In all honesty, I feel like they should pay rent because
why?
it teaches the child financial responsibility, no?
What do you mean by financial responsibility?
The child will learn what to do in the future. He'll be able to understand what.
Can he not learn that himself?
Huh? He can, of course. But won't it be better if the parents even start by when they're 18 to teach them, right?
Yeah,
but
because
at the
when they go to other countries, they have to rent out their own apartment.
They're independent.
Yeah, exactly. So they know.
But at the same time, if you don't charge rent, parents can help their children, let's say, build a financial safety net where when they get older, they can spend more money.
Yeah.
What do you think,
But
Ishan?
they can do that by paying rent
Yeah,
as well,
Ishan.
no?
Say that again.
They can do that by paying rent as well because
How? It will create a financial safety net. What safety net will you create if you have to pay rent? You're spending money yourself.
You're spending money, but you're giving it to your parents, right? They don't actually have to use this. They can actually be like your safety net. They're holding this money for you, for your future.
But then
Not
at the same
always.
time, the parent. Okay, so Ishan, what do you think?
Yeah.
So mine is quite different from Arav's, where I feel that the child doesn't really need to rely on paying rent to the parents, but instead get a part-time job to earn enough money for their future. For example, my first point is about their debt. Because college funds are really expensive, right?
Yeah.
And for the tuition, books, all of that, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So if you save money from birth and invest a lot of time and effort into the part-time job, you'll earn money to remove the debt and make the money
slowly lower the loans.
exactly.
But I think
So then it's yours of the idea that instead of paying rent, that they're gonna go to university anyway. So then they should as well work for a part-time job.
Yeah, so because they get the advantage of staying at home and not having to buy like a new property for themselves, right?
But then what if the child is actually just a couch potato? What will you do then? Then of
What if
course
they don't
you
do
have to pay
anything?
rent, right?
Yeah,
But
I
they
think-
don't
Yeah,
do anything.
in a certain scenario where they are like this or they're lazy or they don't want to do or they're just watching TV all day,
Yeah.
they will be forced by their parents to actually go out and make the money. Or if they're not willing to do this, they have to find a solution to actually pay their parents the money.
So either way, they still have to
so I
pay
think
rent.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think
So
it's
So either pay rent or
Sure.
work for it and don't pay
Sure.
rent.
So I think instead of all this, I think it's better once you turn 18 or once the person leaves college, it's financially it's possible for the person to be financially independent.
Yes.
I think the person should leave the house.
Really?
It just gives an extra burden for the parents. They have to make an extra meal. They have to keep more clothes in the laundry like that.
But if you just do that right as you turn 18, you won't learn anything. You don't have
You won't
these
learn
things.
anything.
I said
It's
when you
easier
turn
if you
18
live with your
or
parents. It's
finish
easier.
college.
So, yeah, because see,
If they move out immediately, they're gonna be put into a new world where they don't really have. They don't know what's going on. They're 18.
exactly.
At the same time, they've just started school. They just started college, or
You
let's
can't
say they
just
have just started university.
It's like saying you're just gonna throw them into the fire without even learning what
Yeah,
they
exactly.
need.
Yeah, but then
to
what's
But at the
better,
same time,
what most parents do are this is just an ideal situation. What most parents do, they say okay, stay with us, and then when they turn 25, the kid leaves they choose to leave, and then when they get out they have to they still have to learn.
Right, but now it's 25.
Yeah, but 25 they'll be educated, they'll learn
Said
they'll
who?
learn to be independent and they learn a lot
Of course,
more
that's
in
not
this
everyone.
world.
That's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
everyone. That's most likely. People life
You have to
throws
learn
challenges at you.
18 or 25, you still have to learn, right?
But
See,
learning takes time.
See,
Learning has to
18 is
come
a
at one
crucial age because you've probably just finished school
Yeah.
and you're trying to learn the college you're supposed to be going to. Then you're going to be talking about the part-time job you're going to be doing, volunteering, all of this, right?
Yeah,
So
you're right.
by 25, you'll actually be mature enough to even probably get married, and you'll also be you'll be a better person of yourself.
The difference
because you'll be more aware of what's happening
So
around
basically
you.
what you're saying is instead of paying rent, they should actually focus on the studying factor, right? while they're 18.
But at the same time, get out and do a
part-time job
to earn that money.
So
otherwise it's unfair. You're putting a burden
can I
on
just
your
get something
parents.
straight? Because I want to ask you a question. So your idea is about you should earn the money but not pay the rent.
No, see, the money will eventually go to the parents.
Yes.
To make those college the funds or like the money that they have to pay for the college.
You're giving them the rent. What if they don't use
that's
them?
still paying rent either way. If you're earning money, you're giving it to your parents to save for your college, and to save for their college, right?
Yeah, that's what my ideal point is about.
So but
how does that relate to rent exactly?
No, it's not about paying the rent. It's about because see. If you pay rent for your a house or something, you'll be also thinking about making because you're going to be going to college. The money that your parents will have saved won't be enough if you take a part-time job.
So your entire idea is reducing student debt, basically.
I think
so you want to give the money to your parents so that way you can keep it.
But what if you
can keep the money yourself?
No, you can. See, that's what I'm trying to say. Like if you keep the money that you're using for your college, you'll be able to understand.
Ishan, I have to cut you off over there.
Yeah,
what if the parents already have a college fund set aside for them?
That's quite often, in fact. Yeah, many parents are doing that nowadays. They're just saving up money extra for college funds. What do you think, David? You want to add?
I think it's like two ways. Either you pay rent.
Yeah.
And stay there. And if otherwise, but I think the better option is that don't go don't pay rent. Stay there because especially when you're in college, you just finish college.
Yeah.
You're looking for more. That's the time you're more creative. When you
so you're talking about career exploration. You want them to explore different jobs. That's a good point to introduce. Exactly. Because
I actually agree.
Because those 20 to 28 those years, that's the time you want to go try new stuff. To find what exactly
I was also trying to say because even if you probably having your parents have set aside of money for your
you
college,
want extra money to give.
If you do a part-time job, you'll be able to understand what the real world is actually asking you for. Because, for example, you're trying to start a business and you don't do anything beforehand. You'll eventually lose because you don't have any awareness of what that business is about.
But
so it's even a step in life to actually make that decision yourself to actually learn more when you grow up. Yeah. So
right.
What if it's what is actually the reverse? In Asian household, I'm pretty sure every Asian household, it's not a choice for the person to make. The parents is the parents are staying with me. You're not leaving. You're not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere. You don't have a choice.
Exactly. What if it's like that?
Some parents do, but that's considered the real life situation. Like your average parent, or what's most likely. Also, with your idea about they won't really know how to start a business. Obviously, they'll do more research before starting a business. Starting a business is no easy task.
No,
starting
I'm just giving that as an example. It could be whatever they want to do when they grow up, right?
Yeah.
At least just
what if instead of doing paying rent, like what I said, what if they do chores? Can't that also be a way of
chores should be expected,
shouldn't
You should expect to help around the house. You should have responsibility from a young age.
Yes, of course.
But you should be paid for that. That takes something that you're expected to do.
But why should you be paid for that?
Even if you're paid, it's your parents'
Shouldn't
money.
your parents then be paid for taking care of you for 18 years?
Wait, but why should you isn't that basically a rent?
But they're not, are they? They're not being kids. So if they're not being paid for taking care of you, why should you be paid for taking care of them?
Wait, isn't it basically the rent
you're
what you're
doing
doing?
as well.
I'm going old, but I'm still in prime age, right? If they're going old, they're gonna have a higher chance of gaining sicknesses, right?
Yeah. But David, do you want to say something?
Yeah. So isn't it basically the rent you're doing? The chores.
Yeah.
Isn't it basically rent?
No,
it is rent.
Rent is a completely different thing. Rent.
So do you earn money for rent?
It's an alternative to rent. You don't have money.
Alternative in a sense that you don't pay, but you do it. Okay, you do something in the house.
You help around the house to basically pay your version of the rent.
Yeah, exactly.
You're expected to earn around the house. You should be expected to help each other. If you don't help everyone else, then how are you really expected to earn for yourself? How do I say this? You need to have responsibility from a young age.
Yeah, agreed.
If you don't have responsibility from a young age, if you're expected to get paid for something you are meant to do, so then how's that really fair? You're not doing your version of the rent. They can pay someone else to do it as well. Maybe even cheaper if you keep on asking. But you're expected to help them like they are expected to help you. There's a
no one said
balance.
about giving us money. I didn't say this as a part-time job, right?
You were the one who
you said it was
He
a
said it
part-time
about a
job.
part-time
No,
job.
I said that.
Said it normally.
You said like we should be paid like for doing the chore. I said you did.
I didn't.
No,
you
he didn't say being paid.
Shouldn't
He
be
said
paid.
No.
he refuted the point about putting that on rent. Because he said rent and having
and doing chores are
like
two different things. Rent is paying where you live. Rent is paying, like, for example, we have this building over here.
Right.
Paying to have this is rent. Paying to, let's say, fix a plant, add a plant, maybe help with our basic equipment
That's
around
helping.
here. That's helping.
Yeah.
That's something different from rent. That doesn't come as one package. Alright, David. So what's the next part of our podcast?
But like, isn't this like this whole topic coming from a point of view, like, you know, because like, you know, when you're at your dad's or like, you know, parents' home, like that you feel more like, you know, like you're under their rule. Like you have to listen to what they're doing, listen to what they say. Like, you
they
know,
have control.
Yeah. So like, you know, I think like most people, like, you know, move out by themselves. Like, you know, it's not a parent's choice. Like, you know,
So
they want to leave.
So
like
what
a
if
certain
they-
independence.
To feel independent.
So then
What if the
question-
parents don't want their child to leave?
That's a good point. What if the parents
What if
don't,
the parents
they don't
don't
want to
want
leave?
I have something to say here.
Of course.
What if the parent is sick? Why will the child leave then? Right?
Well, because then the child child might not be experienced in helping them. Because most people might not know how to
what
treat
if
with
they
someone
don't have
elderly.
enough money for that? No.
So
Does
then,
anyone else have a point?
well,
Yeah,
then
but like, you know, then, like,
more
you know,
likely,
nursing
more
homes,
likely
right?
than not.
Isn't the like, you know, it's really unfair to expect a child, like, you know, in their early, like, you know, 20s, like, you know, to
Help
take
a
care
child,
of
yeah.
to take, you could keep the, like, you know, if they're not like well, at a nursing home or something, you know, like that's the only viable option, like I see, like, you know, or like, keep it with them
You have to pay at a nursing home, and often paying at a nursing home would probably be really expensive as compared to taking care of them by yourselves, where you already know what they're doing. Instead, not only would they have to transition to understand their habits, their quirks, or what they might need specifically, you already know that. Plus, it's less costly. But at the same time, I think a solution that would perhaps be if you have someone around the house, so like a maid or something like that, or something like someone who can help them around the house. For example,
like a personal maid?
Yeah, a personal maid. Like
Ishan,
my
do you have
grandma.
any points for this?
So I would like to just say what he said. Like I think the personal maid is actually a good choice because like you have someone in the house to actually take care of the person who's actually sick regarding your point. And it's actually a viable solution,
option,
right?
yeah.
It's a viable option.
Because you can have, for
like-
example, if they have dementia or Alzheimer's or something, right? If they're like, let's say they're losing memory, they don't really know what they're doing. If you have a personal maid who they stay around with,
Won't
But
they
we-
feel then the personal maid is actually an intruder though?
all right, David.
Yeah,
Okay,
why don't you
so
start?
like, don't you think, like, you know, this, like, whether they should pay rent or should they stay in their parents' house? Like, isn't this, like, you know, like coming from a place of, you know, like you know, not feeling independent, you know, like every single time, like you want to go, you need your parents' permission to go out or like, to bring friends home. So like, you know, I think, you know, what age do you think, like, you know, people should start, like, you know, calling the shots?
So, what age should they basically become independent?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. So, I feel like somewhere in their early 20s would be maybe they start to become more independent. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, you have to transition out of that slowly, because you can't suddenly transition from being having your parents' support everywhere you go. Let's say 17, you're basically taking care of about the house. Just suddenly at 19 or 20, you've been lost most contact, and then you having to do everything by yourself.
I think it should be like, you know, I think it should be like, you know, right after they finish college, you know.
Right.
And I think like this should be like, you know, no, it can't be immediate.
When you
like
mean
said.
college, do
like-
you mean university?
Yeah,
Or do you
university.
mean like the 11th, grade 12? and
No, university.
University.
Yeah, so like I think like, you know, like you said, it can't be immediate. Like you need to show your parents that, you know, you can be independent. Like, you know, only if your parents like feel from a place of trusting that, you know,
But
okay,
to a
he
certain
can take care of himself. Only then, like, I think your parents would, like, you know,
You
allow.
can definitely start earlier, because at that point, most people choose their subjects and what they want to do by grade 8, grade 9, especially the GCSE curriculum. If your parents tell you what you're going to choose, you don't have that anything to select from, because you'll have to focus on those subjects. Then you'd have to do A levels and GCSEs.
Okay.
Then you'd have to
so-
go to university. So,
So back to this point.
couldn't it not go earlier? What do you think?
So, can I say back to his point?
Of course, go ahead.
Yeah, go
I'm so sorry.
So I kind of agree with what Shahir said because basically in your early 20s, I mean, you'd still be after 18, around 19, 20, you'd be like in college trying to figure out what is like whatever course you're doing.
Yes.
But after you're done with college, I think it was around 23, 24 where you actually make those.
It is around that year.
Around that time where you actually get those jobs in and then you start working properly, right? So if we're choosing that age to actually start, I think that's like a perfect age to actually go ahead, and that's when you make your own decisions, right? And even in college, to a certain extent, you can actually make your own decisions because you'll be choosing a time to actually spend some time with your friends, choosing a time where you'll have to be studying for a certain
have to be
subject.
independent.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be independent.
You aren't independent yet. You're learning.
Learning to be independent. I think it's like, if you say fully independent, I think it would be 23, 24.
But obviously when you're younger, you should have some instances of independence, like I was talking about earlier with the subjects.
That is very correct. That is
Alright.
actually correct. Yeah.
Yes,
You learn bits of independence.
Yeah.
But you also learn these bits from your parents as well, right? Slowly they're teaching you how to become a young adult. Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
Yeah, so I think
so.
like he said, what we actually need is a lot of independence that we can get anytime. We can just leave the house. We are independent.
No.
But can I finish? What we actually need is like our parents' support. Like many times, people want to take psychology. Like I don't know about British curriculum, but in CBSE especially, I've seen many people who want to take subjects like psychology or computer science, but like were forced to take physics and biology.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's especially common in, like, for example, there are many cultures. For example, in Asian culture or in different cultures, it's more common than others to have it. You look like you're disagreeing with me. Do you disagree?
A little bit, yeah, because you're bringing cultures into this, right? It shouldn't be culture-wise, no?
But
it should
it
actually
is
be all together.
I mean,
I think it was a typical stereotype of that time.
It's not even the stereotypes. There's a reason stereotypes always start from somewhere. Stereotypes don't come out of the blue. Stereotypes always have some sort of truth in them.
Yeah, so I think what we need is like our parents' support, because when you're taking the subjects, if your parents don't support, all throughout you won't be like, man, I could have just taken that, like my mom would actually like me, Yeah.
So I think we can end this off where basically when you're younger, you should have control in the major in let's say choosing what you want to do, but not more than that. Then as you go older, you can perhaps choose in what you want to do in the let's say in general.
I think the independence levels start to increase as you
get older.
Then
you can't have a specific area where you end like 23, 24.
Yeah, so like you said, in year. Can I say?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah,
of course.
Like in year 10, like you should be 30% independent, to choose your subjects and all that. Like you should go to from and like I said, 23, 24, it should be to a 90%, or throughout your life you'll still
as
be
as you increase, but it obviously should start when you start choosing your subjects, or if you want to put more emphasis on others.
Because I think it's gradual that as you go higher in grades, that you'll independently become more mature because you're around around people who are actually also more mature. Right?
So I think we can conclude this off where as you get older, you should always have more responsibility.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for coming on the Hot Takes, and see you next time.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you so much.